Hello everyone and welcome to today's event. My name is Jimmy Lamb. I am Manager of Education for Sawgrass and I'll be your host for this special event brought to you by Express and Sawgrass. Now in our last video we were talking about all the opportunities for the holiday Christmas market, and we talked about things like personalized gifts and decorations, those types of things. Today we're going to take it from a little bit of a different angle. We're going to look at some of the things that businesses might want to give out to their favorite customers and also to their employees. So it's a little bit of a different angle than what we did before. And in the process, we're going to do two different items available from Express. We're going to be doing a sublimation bag and we're going to be doing a bottle opener. Okay, ooh, sounds exciting, doesn't it? All right, so the very first one that I want to cover though is the bottle opener. And you can see the bottle opener here, very small item, okay? So here, let me move it in closer just so you can see that, how big it is or it is not. This is metal, it is silver, and you can sublimate on both sides of it. So it's a pretty cool little item. I mean, it's small, but it's very useful. And that's one of the things that you want to consider for products that are ultimately going out to customers and employees of a business, because they will prefer that those people use these products because of a couple of reasons. Number one, by using the product, okay, that means that it's useful, so it's a nice gift. Number two, sometimes they'll put their logo on the product or they'll have something to remind people of that particular business, okay? So sometimes it's used as advertising, other times a pure gift, and sometimes a combination of both, all right? So let's get started by designing for this. So I'm gonna switch over to my Creative Studio and start producing a design to go on here. So I'm at my Creative Studio screen and I'll click on Start Creating. And for this particular product, I really didn't find a suitable product template. So I decided to kind of create my own. And the reality is I have a small space where I can put an image or text or both, and I measured it. And I came out with 1.75 inches by 1.75 inches. So to me, that's the working space. And therefore, I'll create what we call a custom canvas set to those dimensions. You can do it in millimeters or inches. I use inches normally, so I will use that, my choice, and put in the height, the width, just everything that we need, and go to create. Now I have a box that is exactly 1.75 inches by 1.75 inches. My working space once again. We cannot fit a lot in there. I'm just going to use text on here and do a little bit of creative text. Now we have so many different fonts with Creative Studio. If you go in here and search, you just can search and search and search, which is nice to have that variety, but it also takes a little bit of time. You can also upload your own fonts. But the key thing is what we call favorites, and that's to be able to make different fonts your favorites so that you narrow down your favorites right into this folder. And I do that routinely. And one of the ones I have in here is Belligerent Madness. I like that, Belligerent Madness. Okay, so now I'm going to start typing in my text. It's the most wonderful time for a beer. Like that? It's the most wonderful time for a beer. And so I purposely broke the lines up to make it sort of a vertical type of layout. And I can expand this now within my area by clicking and dragging or by using the size, which is my preference. I'm going to use the size tool and go ahead and fill that up somewhat. And then double check my spelling. It's the most wonderful time for a beer. Gotta love that. All right, so what else would you put on a bottle opener, okay? So now let's go to our print function and verify I have the correct printer. I do. I am using US legal paper, or US letter, excuse me. And go on down here. This is metal. And then we want to use vivid for our color. And click print. So this will put us into our print queue. And then it'll get processed and it will start printing out onto the paper. So it's processed through. We'll get to take one last look at it. Boy, does that look small on there. And I think all my settings are correct. So we're going to go ahead and do the print. And while it's printing, I'm going to switch back to my live cam. So again, just thinking about everything we were doing, this is that small bottle opener. I did the 1.75 by 1.75 area here because that's all we have to print. So we're going to do it. It's the most wonderful time for a beer. Now, if this was actually going to say a pub and they were going to give it out to some of their better clients or favorite clients or everybody for that matter, they may want to put their name on the back. Okay, to let them, or just a beer mug. So there's a lot of different things we can actually do with a small item like this. All right, so let me grab my paper. And the next thing I want to do is make sure that it actually fits. And I'll hold this up just so you can see it a little bit better. But does it fit in the vertical height area? Yes, it does. And does it fit in the horizontal width? It does. Okay, so that's going to work out good for us. Now, the settings for this are going to be 200 degrees Celsius, 400 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to use a medium to heavy pressure, and we're going to do 2 minutes. Okay, verifying that our settings are correct. Our next step is that we're going to open the heat press and place the transfer. Make sure we know which side is up. Okay, up, and we're going to lay it here, and then I'm going to take my bottle opener and carefully line it up to make sure that everything is centered in that particular area that I have available for pressing. So I believe that's about right, and I'll get a sheet of blowout paper to put across the top. Now you notice I did not tape this. This particular product, I don't feel like I need to tape it, and also because the actual substrate is on top of the paper, I think we're going to be fine in this particular case. So here we go. Now always read the directions. Sometimes of metal products, we're going to do it the other way around. The metal is on the bottom with the paper on top. But this particular one, metal on top, paper on the bottom, works out fine, especially when we're running for 2 minutes. So close it down and let it rip. All right, so it's going to take a couple of minutes to have that ready. As soon as you do, we'll pull it back out. Some of the other things to think about for products for Christmas, you know, we've been talking about the bottle opener, but for example, maybe you're working with a gym or a health club. What kind of items would their members use? Probably things like water bottles and towels, maybe even some laundry bags for their gym clothes, those types of things. So that might be something that those types of organizations would like to make available to some of their premium customers, because I realize that they have a lot of customers, they're probably not going to give away something to everyone. Because a lot of times with businesses, they're really just giving gifts out to their premium customers, the ones who spend the most money with them. So therefore, they may give them something nicer. And then other times they'll actually be like, well, our upscale or premium employees, we're going to give them, customers, you know, my premium customers, we're going to give them this item, okay? Whereas our everyday customers, they can get this item. So they may give different things to different people. They may not give anything, okay? But it just depends on what they're going to do. So the idea is that you're at least there able to supply ideas to them to hopefully purchase from you. Let's see, we got about 40 seconds left, and then we'll pull out our beer bottle opener. Of course, any kind of bottle, not just beer bottle. And sorry, we're not going to be able to test that here, okay? So the functionality we cannot test, but we'll certainly be able to see the end product. All right, so just a few more seconds here, and we'll be ready to pull this off and take a look at what we did and see how well it came out. And any minute now, or any second now, it's going to start beeping for us. 7 seconds left. Seems like an eternity, doesn't it? But it's almost there. Okay, open this up, pull it out of the way, take off the blowout sheet, and let's get it off of the paper. So, fell right off, worked out perfect, and I will get this where I can show it to you. Because as we all know, it's hot, and I don't have a glove handy. Okay, so I just got it onto the paper itself, and I'll just bring it up where you can see it in the camera. I'll get a little bit closer there, but it came out very nicely. Okay, so quick job there, and we're going to set that aside and let it cool off, and then we're going to move on to something different. Now, that was a nice small item, but it was a very nice item. We're going to go to something on the opposite end of the spectrum, something large, okay, because For some reason, people seem to think that bigger things are worth more than smaller things. I don't know that that's always true, but a lot of people do think that. But this is a good all-purpose universal type of bag. Okay, it's polyester, got the nice big handles on there so you can wear it on your shoulder, and you can put a lot of stuff in this thing. Okay, that's what's nice about it with the size. You put a lot of stuff in here. And we have a lot of area here for printing so that we can put all kinds of different design ideas here. We can put one thing on one side, something on the other side. You can have an image on one side and you can be personalized on the other side. You can have a design on one side and you can have a logo on the other side. You can have the same thing on both sides, okay? It's just so many different ways that we can go with this. This is natural in color, but it works as well as white. It really does. But just keep that in mind when you're choosing your designs, that it is natural, it's not white, okay? This is the Subla bag available from Express, all right? That's where I got the bag from. That I'll be showing you here. So I'm gonna switch back to my software and we'll go back into Creative Studio. That's the one that we just did. But a lot of times when we start new, I get like, did I get rid of everything? I'm gonna start new. So for me, many times I'll just go to the Creative Studio, click on it, and then really start new, okay? It's just me. It's one of those things, you know, everybody, we got these, you know, little idiosyncrasies we have to deal with. So we're gonna start creating. In this particular instance, there are several different tote bags in the product choices. But I'm just going to set up the paper size I'm gonna print. And I'm gonna be using an A4 sheet for this, or the equivalent of A4. You would be using A4. I'm going to be using the US letter, which are approximately the same size, because I think that's really the best fit for this. So I'm going to use that as my design space. So rather than trying to find the exact product, I'm just going to go into design canvases and look for the actual design space that I need, which is 8.5 by 11 inches for the US letter. Now, I've already saved that in my favorites. See, I like the favorites. And in the favorites, you can see I have 8.5 inch by 11 inch portrait. You can also see there's an A4 portrait there too. So by saving it in my favorites, quick, easy access to it. This will be my work area. I know the design has to fit within these boundaries. Okay, now this one I'm going to use more of a holiday theme. So I'm going to go into designs. And if you haven't looked lately, I want you to take a look. I'm not going to take you all the way through these things, but we're just going to scroll down and look at all the categories we have for the Christmas holiday season. We have Christmas, Christmas Premium. We have our Hanukkah. Let's not forget about that, because there's more to the holidays than just Christmas. We have Home for the Holidays, Jingle and Mingle, and then Oh What Fun, and finally Silent Night. So there's a whole lot to choose from, a whole lot. And I made it simple for our presentation. I went ahead and found something I like to begin with, and that is the Eat, Drink, and Be Merry. So I'm going to click on that. It brings it in my work area. I would like to make that a little bit larger, so I'm going to increase the size. Again, you can click and drag, which really probably the easiest to get it done right here. So remember, I selected all before I did that, because if I didn't select all, it would have just been selecting one area of the design, and that would have been the only thing that enlarged. So always select all and then resize it. Okay, and if you have to do some more editing, remember to deselect all, right? So we're gonna send it out to the printer, and we get all of our settings here for what we need to do. And in my case, I gotta change the letter to the US letter. And it's not metal this time, it's actually polyester. And for color mode, we're going to go with vivid. And then we're going to print it. So we're going to print it to the queue first, and then after the queue, it will start printing out for real. Okay, it's now ready to print, so I'll click the print button. And while it's printing, I'm going to go over and set up the heat press for this particular item, because the settings will be different on this one. Okay, so this one's going to have different settings, as I was saying, because it is a different material. This will be a 200°C, approximately 400°F. This time it's going to be very, very light pressure. That's very important. We're going to be very light pressure. And also we're only going to be going 50 seconds. So let me go ahead and make some changes here. And I'll start with taking my time down to 50. And, oops, boy, when this thing runs, it really runs. Okay, we are at 50. Now, really light pressure. I'm going to tell you more about why in just 1 second. Let me just stay focused on getting it set up. Here's light. If you don't get it light enough, it may not work out for you. Okay? All right, the reason we're going so light is with many polyester fabric items, if you have too much pressure, you'll get a mark left behind, a little crease around the edges of the transfer paper, which is called transfer lines, and unfortunately they're permanent. In fact, I did one earlier today when I was setting everything up, and it's a little hard to see. That's the neat thing about this bag. When you get a transfer line on it, it's not that easy to see, but it was a transfer line. I'll put it up to the camera, and I don't know how well you can see the line, but there is a little line going down here. Simply reducing the pressure took care of that problem. It's not that visible on this product, but anything that's visible, the customer is probably going to see, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and place the bag, and I'm putting my bag on here basically upside down. And I can just change my blowout sheet here from the bottom. Get a new fresh one in there, something we should do routinely. Okay, as I said, I'm putting the bag in upside down in the heat press. And the reason I'm doing that is just so that the handles are out of the way. You can see that the handles are falling off the front, and that's the way I wanted it set up. Let me get my printout. And here we have the printout. Always make a note of what's the top, what's the bottom. I know that sounds like, you know, the simplest thing in the world, but it's also the simplest thing in the world to get wrong. Been there, done that. So remember, I put this upside down. So again, line up. Here is eat, and this will be the proper positioning for it. And I'm going to get it centered right between the handles. And we'll put one more blowout sheet on top, and then we'll be ready to press it. All right, here we go. Have all our new settings in, and away we go with the pressing. So this won't take long, 50 seconds, and it'll be ready. And then we should hopefully have a nice, gorgeous bag ready to take to our customer, okay? I'm only gonna do one side today. I mean, obviously, after watching this, you'd be able to print, you know, it yourself without any problem. A lot of space on there. You could actually put two designs side by side on one side. Using bigger paper, you could really cover one side a whole lot more than with this particular one I'm doing. But you're going to see the size I chose, I think, works very well for this particular product. All right, just a few more seconds and we'll have it done. Final countdown. All righty. So let's see what we have created here. And I think we have a very nice job. Okay, this is our bag. And the nice thing is that there's no transfer lines. Colors still come out pretty well. So, you know what? Did a good job there. I always like to pat myself on the back. We should all do that routinely. So we have two items that we completed here today, just out of camera range. So let me hold them up, okay? We have our bag and we have our bottle opener. And both of them really have equal value. It really comes down to who is receiving it, because value is in the eyes of the beholder. I changed that sentence a little bit from what you're used to, but that really is the truth, okay? Perception is all about perception, okay? Perception sets the value. So you want to be, everything that you do to be perceived as being a nice high-end product, okay? So that the end user, the end recipient, sees it the same way. And they get a nice warm feeling when they get that as a gift, okay? That's our goal. All right, so we've covered a lot in these last two videos. I've done everything from personalized products for Christmas and decorations, all the way to things for employees and customers. So there's just so much that we can do in this holiday season with sublimation. I mean, it really is one of the most profitable times of the year for sublimation businesses. So be creative. Take a look at all the new designs. We put some new designs in. Actually, we do it every month with Creative Studio. So keep looking at the new designs, great design ideas, putting things together, and just get excited. Have some fun, okay? So thanks for joining me, and I hope that you have wonderful holidays coming up and are busy, really busy, okay? But not so busy you don't get the time to spend time with the family. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.